You probably know this, but most of the stuff we recycle, like aluminum cans, paper, or glass, is pretty straightforward. You put them in a bin, they go to a recycler, they get sorted, then crushed or shredded, and finally, they're turned into new cans, paper, or glass. But what about an old TV, a computer, or even a cell phone? These things are very different. You can't just crush them down and make a new TV, computer, or cell phone, right? Well, sort of right. To start with, you can't just pop a TV into your home recycle bin. You have to take it somewhere that's specially set up to collect electronics for recycling. To find the electronics collection site closest to you, you can go to the DNR's website and search for eCycling. You might have to pay a collector to take some of your stuff, especially those big old TVs and monitors, because the glass in them contains lead and that makes them really expensive to recycle. It can cost more to process this glass than the rest of the materials in here are worth. The electronics have a lot of other toxic stuff inside them that can be released once they're broken open. Electronic recycling companies outfit their workers with extra protection, and that's added expense for them that might get partially passed on to you. Once your electronics are unloaded at a collector, your work is done. The collectors take over the job from here. First, they bundle and load them onto semi-trucks. They're not taken to the same place as the rest of your recyclables. They're hauled off to a recycler that specializes in electronics, a place that is designed to take apart those complex items and do it safely. This is one of the recycling plants here in Wisconsin. 10 to 12 truckloads of used electronics arrive here every day. The electronics are unloaded and taken onto a processing floor. Large pallets of old TVs, computers, and other electronics cover the floor. It usually looks like a big museum, showing the history of our high-tech lives. Each pallet has to be inventoried, weighed, and recorded so that the recycler can show that the weight that comes in the door matches the weight that goes out the door at the end of processing. This helps confirm that the materials are handled responsibly and not illegally dumped somewhere. After the electronics have been checked in, workers begin to pull the items apart. Every recycling plant does this differently. Here, the workers remove fasteners and screws to pull out certain items that can be directly reused in new electronics, like speakers and fans, or items that need special treatment. Cathode ray tubes that make old TVs so big and bulky have parts that are hazardous. These need to be handled separately from the rest of the electronics. Big batteries, fluorescent bulbs, toner cartridges, and hard drives are also pulled out to get devices ready for shredding or crushing. Some smaller items, like keyboards and mice, don't have to be taken apart. These can go right to the shredder. After large hazardous items are removed, most electronics head off to be crushed, but cathode ray tubes and hard drives take a detour. Cathode ray tubes in old-style TVs and monitors go through a very special machine that crushes their hazardous glass into small pieces. It uses high-tech light sensors to divide the leaded glass that makes up most of the tube from the non-leaded glass that makes up the screen part. People constantly check to make sure the sorting machines are working correctly because the leaded glass needs extra treatment and cleaning. Only a few places in the world are able to reuse the leaded glass safely. Hard drives are also handled separately at this facility. This recycler wants to be absolutely certain that no data are stolen while hard drives are at their facility or after the hard drives leave their facility. Their reputation depends on it. Data security is an important reason to make sure your electronics are recycled by a responsible company. Once all preparation is done, large electronic recycling facilities use crushing and shredding machines to break the electronics down into small parts. That makes the hundreds of different materials that are inside a device easier to sort and separate. First, the shells of most materials are crushed so that small hazardous materials, like batteries, can be removed. After those hazardous parts are gone, electronics move down a conveyor belt into a giant shredder that breaks all electronics into tiny pieces. The large plastic shell that was once a TV will come out of the shredder in pieces small enough to be held in the palm of your hand. High-tech recyclers like this one use sophisticated machines and processes to separate shredded materials into different categories. Magnets separate out pieces with iron in them. Blowers remove the lighter items. Eddy currents and shakers divide other types of materials. At the end of this sorting process, boxes of plastics, steel, aluminum, circuit boards, copper, and glass are ready to leave the facility. All of these boxes of components that used to be in old TVs, and computers, and printers get shipped out the door and around the world, where they'll go through a bit more processing and refining before being made into something new, perhaps even your new TV or tablet. When you eCycle, your old, outdated electronics become new and improved electronics through the magic of the high-tech e-cycling industry. If done responsibly, the recycling process can save millions of gallons of water and tons of energy. Plus, recycling keeps toxic things out of the landfill and reuses valuable materials. It's good for you and the environment. When you choose to eCycle, you're doing your part to help keep our planet clean and healthy. Brought to you by eCycle Wisconsin and the Wisconsin DNR. Visit our website and search eCycle to learn more.